Welcome again to these video overviews of the annual report. I'm very pleased to have with me now Jan Willem Kradolfer, who is the treasurer of the board of ICMCI, and he's going to be talking about the treasurer's report and the audited statements, both of which you have in the full version of your annual report in the meeting package. So welcome, Jan Willem, and please tell us a bit about the highlights of the year.
Yeah, well, first highlight to me was this was my first year as a treasurer, while being in the board for several years already, and it was quite difficult. I learned that my predecessors, and you, Dwight, were one of them,
Yes,
were doing a tough job. And especially I want to thank Anka Bors, who was my predecessor as the treasurer for an interim period in taking care of the finance of ICMCI. I learned a lot this last year concerning ICMCI, because if you are the treasurer, you work very cooperatively, but with a lot of tension sometimes with Rima and her staff, because you have to be aware of what is going on with all our IMCs and with the ICMCI itself as an organization. So that was really tough. And what I learned was that, of course, in these difficult times we are facing now, our IMCs are facing financial problems as well. So we had a lot of discussions with some of the IMCs who were able and willing to fulfill their commitments to ICMCI, but sometimes needed some support of our board and the way we could relieve them from their financial agony. And we made good discussions, we had good discussions and we made good arrangements so that everybody is still a member in good standing by far. So that is very helpful for an international organization as we are. So that's the most important thing we did last year.
Wonderful, excellent. And in terms of the finances of the organization, how are we standing?
Well, there are some comments to be made on the financial situation ICMCI is in now. Of course, all the delegates will understand that we have an approved budget for the upcoming year because we approved it in the Bahama meeting. It's 1 year over and over again. And we are proposing a budget for the year 21-22. The learnings from what we are facing now is that, of course, we had some setbacks in our mostly variable revenues. And that's mainly because some of the events didn't take place we had planned. So many people worked for a wonderful event, whether it be Asia Pacific Hub or EuroHub or the AGM, of course. All those three events did not occur, and so we didn't have a Congress, etc. And that is difficult for us as ICMCI as well, because since we are doing this for many years now already, it brings a lot of revenue to the world community. On the other hand, and then I must say, as treasurer, happily, our expenditures went below the originated scheme as well, because since we don't have the events, we don't have, well, we have events, but virtually, and they are at a very low cost, of course. Since a lot of things we planned did not work in our COVID pandemic year, we didn't have to pay as much as we thought. So this balances quite well. So the less revenue we had is compensated by less expenditure. So in the total balance, we see the amounts of euros going down, but it made us still a healthy organization. And if I want to make some remarks about the auditor's report, our auditor, and in the last 2 pages, I especially want to emphasize those last 2 pages to our delegates. And if you are interested in the work of an auditor, you have to read all the ones before. But if you are focused on the last 2 pages, there you will see that the auditor says that we are an organization in good standing and we don't have any financial risk at this time. We are still financially strong We have solid reserve and we have a solid cash base. So that is quite okay still. And that audit report conclusion as a treasurer is welcome to me, because therefore it was for me a possibility to address my board and you as president, that we say now we have to focus on the strategy, and this pandemic year and probably next year will be a very tough incident that will take place, but we must not get away from the objectives we set out. We want to be a growing organization. We need to have revenues, and especially variable revenues, to finance that growth. And that brings me to another very important issue, the membership fees. We know that we had some difficulties and we have less member countries upcoming year than we had. 2 or 3 of them had to shut down their activities. But on the other hand, all the others are still doing a great job. We decided as a board, and as a treasurer, I was happily to propose that we will not increase membership fees. We won't do that next year, and we won't do it this year. So we have to balance revenue, variable revenue, with expenditure, and we have to focus on that, because that is the key grip we have on our financial businesses. And if we do that well, we also are able for next year to have a 0% increase of membership fee. And that pleases me a lot.
Excellent. I think the institutes and the delegates will welcome that news.
I hope so.
Yes. Thank you very much for this information, and I do recommend everyone study the financial statements, which are in the annual report, and I know will be available at the virtual annual meeting to answer any questions.
Exactly, that's what I will do.
Thank you.
And hopefully they will endorse the Treasurer's report, and I look forward to discussions with the delegates.
Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.